I thought it was about time for me to do an update from the tiny home. It's been a few months since I moved in, but I'm literally just now allowing myself to enjoy it. There's lots of reasons that come into that, so I'm not going to cast blame just on the grief of losing Milo, my dog. There's just been so much swirling about, and one of the biggest things that I've noticed is this tiny home is something that I have been wanting, 14, 15 years. When I moved back to the States from New Zealand was when I initially started planting the seed of wanting to live in a tiny situation. But of course, at that stage, my son was still little, and he was very much engaged in sports and school and community. So I wanted to make sure that he had that. We lived a suburban lifestyle, but my heart was never fully there. And I always felt a little bit like I was out in the middle of someone else's world when I would walk around the suburban landscapes. It just never felt like me. Now my son loved it. It was all of his friends down the street, playing soccer in the yard, riding bikes to the skate parks, etc. And so I have absolutely no regrets. I also don't think that I would have ever enjoyed tiny living as a family. What I'm learning is that this experience has cultivated within me the desire to really get into my inner spiritual work by living alone in a sacred space that feels organically and holistically like it's supporting my spiritual journey. Walking out, grounding whenever I want to, literally in t-shirts and nothing much more on, I wander right out into the yard and do my grounding and welcome my mornings, close out my days, and just don't give a care about anything because there's no neighbors to judge, just the critters that live among me. And I'm building such a cool rapport with all of them, living on this acreage. Every squirrel, every bird, every owl, fox, coyote, I'm naming the ones that I've seen, raccoons, chipmunks. Gosh, the list goes on and on in the 5 years that this is the 5th year that I've been living here. And I just don't think that I would have ever embarked on the level of such experiences in my suburban lifestyle. Certainly people do, but it wasn't my experience. To even enjoy my hummingbirds in my old suburban house required me to sit out front. That's where they came to my feeders. It's where my sacred space was. But as I would sit out front, the walkers by and the onlookers from beside came over and visited and chatted, and that was all beautiful. It was all part of the experience. But now, it's different. If I have someone over, it's intentional. If I create an experience of wanting to connect, it's somehow on my terms. And settling into understanding that I am very much able to extrovert, but I am far more comfortable as an introvert, and celebrating that about myself so that when I do go out into the world, I bring forward a better version of myself that's literally stable and calm and just peaceful is the only way I can explain it. Wholesome, peaceful, very, very grounded. And I love this about where I live. I'm able to work because I do remote work, and I see my clients and I work with my corporate contracts, and I do all of it pretty much on my terms. This tiny home is, of course, on wheels, and so I know that at any time, if I wanted to, I can take it and move it to other acreage or relocate it. And even though I don't have any desire to do that, if it were to happen or it were something I were to account or plan for, unlike a traditional home, I have that flexibility. So I'm just enjoying this. I'm cooking more. I'm really getting back into creating meals that feel good to my body. And I don't sleep a normal sleep pattern. I don't work a normal work life. And I don't eat at normal eating hours because I have the flexibility to let this whole time space illusion literally collapse around me. And I love that. I love that I don't feel forced to do anything. I am not responsible to feed a child or a pet anymore. I don't have events that I need to get those folks to anymore. And the other night, as I was laying here taking the tiny home in, for the first time, I allowed myself to really feel it and say, this is mine. I own this. This is my little bubble of perfection. It has everything. I feel like a queen when I sit in it. When I soak in my tub, when I climb into my loft and light all the candles, listen to the music and meditate, when I keep the windows open and fall asleep with the critters. Gosh, there's nothing more I could ask for. It's absolutely heaven on earth. So those are my updates. I hope they find you well. Much love until next time.